On the harsh planet of Valira, the sky was always painted in dark violet shades, swirling with storms that danced across the jagged crystal mountains. The planet's surface shimmered under the storm, reflecting faint glimmers of light. Among the inhabitants, the strongest and most respected was known as the Alpha, a legendary warrior whose name echoed across star systems. He was not only strong but also wise, leading his clan with a firm hand and a fair heart. The Alpha's strength and intelligence were unmatched. His people trusted him completely, and even rival clans avoided confrontation because his reputation preceded him. But legends are not invincible. That day, the Alpha led a small team of his best warriors to recover a rare energy crystal, vital to powering Valira's cities and protecting its inhabitants from the violent storms. The crystal was said to hold energy unlike any other, and many had tried to retrieve it before only to fail. But the Alpha was confident. He had faced far worse dangers, and he had never failed. As they approached the crystal's chamber, hidden deep in a cavern carved into a giant crystal mountain, the air grew strange. A glowing artifact floated above the chamber, pulsing with an eerie light. Its design was unlike anything the Alpha had seen, with patterns that seemed to shift when looked at directly. The warriors hesitated, sensing danger, but the Alpha stepped forward. His curiosity was stronger than fear. The moment he touched the artifact, a sharp surge of energy shot through him. Pain, confusion, and doubt struck him all at once. He fell to his knees, gasping, as if his body no longer belonged to him. The warriors tried to help, but the Alpha waved them away. His mind was clouded, and for the first time in his life he felt weak. The artifact emitted a strange sound like a whisper from the wind, filling his head with voices that questioned his strength and worth. "You are not enough. You will fail. You are alone." The Alpha tried to resist, but the words dug deep into his mind. Slowly, his legendary confidence began to crumble. His followers watched in disbelief as their strong leader fell to the ground, unable to rise. The Alpha returned to his fortress in a state of confusion and fear. He avoided meetings with his council, ignored messages from allies, and began making poor decisions that jeopardized his people. Even minor challenges, which he would have handled easily before, now seemed impossible. His once loyal warriors grew restless. Some whispered behind his back, questioning his ability to lead. Others openly challenged his commands. The Alpha, once unshakable, felt the crushing weight of doubt and isolation. Far away in a human colony orbiting Valira, Alara observed the situation. She was a human scientist and interstellar diplomat, known for her intelligence and bravery. Her role often took her to dangerous worlds, but she had never encountered anything like this. Through her instruments, she could see the Alpha's fall, his strength fading, his mind clouded by fear. She understood that if he completely broke, Valira would descend into chaos. The storms would grow stronger, rival clans would attack, and countless lives would be lost. Unlike others, Alara did not see a powerful alien reduced to weakness. She saw potential buried under fear. She decided she had to act, even though traveling to Valira without permission was risky. The Alpha had always been a legend, and legends were not meant to fall. She prepared her ship, gathering supplies, protective equipment, and tools that might help her analyze the strange artifact. Her journey to Valira was not easy. The planet's storms were violent, unpredictable, and deadly. Her ship shook violently as she navigated through violet lightning and swirling crystal dust. At times, she had to land and proceed on foot, climbing jagged mountains and avoiding unstable crystal formations. She encountered hostile mercenaries who wanted the energy crystal for themselves, forcing her to rely on both wit and quick reflexes to escape. Meanwhile, the Alpha struggled to regain control of his life. His people's attacks, rival clans' ambushes, and even the smallest mistakes reminded him of his weakness. He tried to meditate, trying to find clarity, but the whispers in his mind were relentless. He began questioning not only his strength, but also his purpose. Was he truly the leader his people needed? Or was he just a broken figure waiting to fail completely? When Alara finally arrived near the Alpha's fortress, she was exhausted but determined. The fortress loomed over a canyon, its sharp crystal towers reflecting the violent light of the storms. Guards patrolled the perimeter, but the Alpha's inner circle had grown divided. Many were unsure whether to follow the broken leader or to abandon him. Using her human technology, Alara managed to bypass the defenses, moving silently through shadowed corridors until she found the Alpha. He was alone, Sitting on the highest balcony of the fortress, staring blankly at the storm-filled horizon, his armor was scratched, his weapons untouched, and his eyes held a deep sadness that made even Alara's heart ache. "You're not alone," she said softly, approaching him carefully. "I've come to help. You don't have to face this alone." The Alpha looked at her confused. He had faced enemies, storms, and wars, but no one had ever spoken to him with such calm confidence while he was at his lowest. Why would you care?" he whispered. "Because I believe in you," Alara replied. "I see what others cannot see. You are more than this curse. You are the Alpha, the one who can lead your people. But to do that, you must first believe in yourself again." Her words were simple, but they stirred something long buried within the Alpha. A spark of hope flickered. He had been broken, yes, but maybe, just maybe, he could rise again. Alara did not rush him. She stayed, speaking to him about the artifact, about the way it fed on fear, and about the methods they could try to weaken its hold. She explained that courage was not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. The Alpha listened, struggling to grasp the meaning of her words. Slowly, fragments of his old self began to return, small bursts of strength, moments of clarity, and flashes of the wisdom he had once commanded effortlessly. Days passed as Alara worked with the Alpha. She prepared strategies, explored the fortress for clues about the artifact, and observed the storms to find patterns. Each small success reminded the Alpha of who he was. He began to speak to his people again, issue commands cautiously, and even defend against minor attacks. While he was far from fully restored, he had taken the first step toward breaking the curse. By the end of Part 1, the Alpha stood on the balcony once more, the storm raging below him. This time he did not feel paralyzed by fear. He looked at Alara and nodded, silently acknowledging her courage and wisdom. For the first time since the curse, he felt a glimmer of hope, and the faintest stirrings of trust. Somewhere in the dark skies of Valira, enemies watched and whispered, unsure whether the Alpha would rise again. But Alara knew one thing for certain. Legends could be broken, yes, but they could also be reborn when someone dared to believe in them. And so, the story of the broken Alpha, and the human woman brave enough to save him, had only just begun. The storm above Valira raged fiercely, but the Alpha no longer felt helpless. The human woman, Alara, stood beside him, her calm presence a guiding light in the chaos. Days of careful observation and strategy had helped the Alpha regain a fragment of his old strength. But the curse still lingered. Its whispering voice reminded him of doubt, fear, and failure. He knew that to break it completely, he had to confront the source directly. The glowing alien artifact in the heart of the crystal storm, a cavern deep within the tallest mountains of Valira. Alara prepared their journey carefully. She gathered supplies, mapped a safe path through the shifting storms, and created protective devices that could resist the artifact's energy. Her scientific mind worked tirelessly, combining human technology and her understanding of alien phenomena. She explained to the Alpha that the artifact did not just weaken the body, it fed on fear, on doubt, on the lack of trust in oneself. If he could overcome his inner struggles, the curse would lose its power. The Alpha listened, absorbing every word. He was no longer the fearful, broken figure who had first met her. Yet the journey ahead was dangerous, and he knew that the storms, rival clans, and even the artifact itself would test him to the limit. Still, a spark of determination burned inside him. He had something more than strength now. He had hope. Their journey began at dawn. The path to the heart of the crystal storm was treacherous. Sharp crystal formations jutted from the mountains like jagged teeth, and violent winds threatened to knock them off cliffs. At times the Alpha's weakened body struggled to keep pace, but Alara encouraged him gently, helping him find his rhythm. Along the way they encountered a rival clan, hoping to take advantage of the Alpha's weakened state. The warriors attacked without hesitation, expecting an easy victory. The Alpha felt the familiar surge of fear, but Alara reminded him, courage is not the absence of fear. It is acting despite fear. The Alpha took a deep breath, recalling lessons from his past victories, and faced the attackers. Though his movements were slower than before, his mind was sharp. He used strategy over strength, guiding Alara and himself through the skirmish. In the end, the rival warriors were forced to retreat, astonished that the Alpha had survived despite the curse. This small victory strengthened his confidence. As they moved closer to the heart of the storm, The environment became more dangerous. Violet lightning flashed through the air, and the crystal mountain seemed to hum with energy. The artifact's power was strongest here, and the whispers of fear became almost deafening. Memories of past mistakes, losses, and failures pressed heavily on the Alpha's mind. Doubt threatened to consume him again. Alara noticed the change immediately. She stepped forward, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You are not alone," she said firmly. "I believe in you. Trust yourself as I trust you. You are stronger than this curse." Her words reached him in a way nothing else could. The Alpha realized that courage was not something he could reclaim alone. It came from trust, from connection, from the knowledge that someone believed in him. Slowly, he steadied his mind, focusing on the mission ahead. Finally, they reached the heart of the crystal storm, a vast cavern filled with swirling energy. In the center floated the glowing artifact, pulsing with light that seemed almost alive. The air was thick with its power, making breathing difficult. The Alpha approached it cautiously, his hand shaking slightly. He felt the whispers again, sharper than ever, testing his resolve. Alara stood beside him, her voice calm and unwavering. "You can do this, face it. Show it your courage. Show it your strength." The Alpha took a deep breath, closing his eyes. Memories of past victories, lessons learned, and moments of bravery flowed through him. He acknowledged his fear, but he refused to be ruled by it. He opened his eyes, fixed them on the artifact, and stepped forward. The artifact reacted violently, sending waves of energy toward him. Pain and doubt surged through his body, but he focused on the truth of who he was. He remembered his people, his duties, and the courage that had always defined him. Slowly, the whispers lost their strength. The energy surrounding the artifact began to falter. Alara watched with anticipation as the Alpha continued. His movements were deliberate, controlled, filled with purpose. He raised his hand and touched the artifact again, this time with intention. Instead of fear, he projected confidence and courage. The artifact trembled, its light flickering, and then shattered into thousands of harmless shards, scattering across the cavern floor. The Alpha fell to his knees, exhausted but victorious. He was free. The curse was gone. His body, mind, and spirit were restored, stronger than before. The storm outside began to calm, reflecting the balance returning within him. Alara approached and smiled, her eyes shining with pride. "You did it," she said softly. "You faced your fear and reclaimed your strength." The Alpha looked at her, a mixture of gratitude and admiration in his eyes. "I could not have done it without you," he admitted. "You believed in me when I could not believe in myself. You saved me." Together they left the cavern and returned to the Alpha's fortress. The people who had doubted him watched in awe as he returned, fully restored. The warriors who had once questioned him now bowed in respect, and rivals who had challenged him earlier reconsidered their ambitions. The Alpha addressed his people not with arrogance, but with humility and renewed wisdom. He spoke of courage, trust, and the importance of facing one's fears. Alara remained by his side, a silent partner in his journey. Though they came from different worlds, a bond had formed between them, built on respect, courage, and shared experiences. The Alpha realized that true strength was not just about power or skill. It was about connection, trust, and belief. With the curse broken, the Alpha's leadership was stronger than ever. He guided his people with renewed clarity, strengthening alliances and preparing Valera for future challenges. The storms no longer seemed as terrifying, the rival clans no longer as threatening. The Alpha knew that with courage and support, nothing was truly impossible. As the sun set over the crystal mountains, casting warm light over the fortress, the Alpha and Alara stood together looking out at the horizon. The stars above Valera sparkled brightly, promising new adventures and challenges. But they faced them with confidence, knowing that together they could overcome anything. The story of the broken Alpha and the woman who dared to save him became a legend across Valera and beyond. It was told as a tale of courage, trust, and the power of belief. And though the universe would continue to test them, the Alpha and Alara were ready, stronger, wiser, and united by the journey that had changed them both forever.